Hey, we are live for our live Q&A. I am joined by Mr. Rex Sikes, none other than Ben Gay the third, and Mr. Rick Sedler. How are we doing this fine evening, afternoon, morning?
Terrific.
All good here.
All good here. Good to see you all.
Now, this is a new concept that we want to test this out a little bit, and we've had an amazing response. So we are streaming on a web page, we're streaming on Facebook and in different places. The whole point of this is to answer those burning questions that people might have, but they never quite get the answer that can move them forward. So we put a form online and we invited people to submit a question if they wanted, or they could just join us for the show and learn as they go. We had an overwhelming response. We had over 40 really good questions, and we've added as many of them as possible to this slide deck so we can go through them one by one, individually and as a panel, and try and answer as many as we can in the 60 minutes that we've afforded ourselves. But before we get into the questions, I would just like to go around the room and just everybody do the quick introduction, a little bit about yourself and what questions are you hoping to get on this session today. So we'll start with Rex, then we'll go to Ben, then we'll go to Rick in the order of the screen. Real quick intro, what you're hoping to get out of this. Get a few people joining as well, and then we'll get started. Sound like a plan?
Great.
Rex Sikes.
Well, good. Well, I am Rex Sikes. I've been doing this for well over 50 years. I've been helping people connect to their inner and outer resources, possibilities, and opportunities that are within and without us on a global scale. I'm known as the Attitude Doctor, the Mindset Master, because my work is in influence and persuasion, as well as whole brain learning and accelerated learning, which, when it comes down to it, means that people talk about the law of attraction or how to create the kind of life that you want. But that's what I've been doing and assisting people everywhere, and I'm going to do it today. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you.
Ben Gay.
I'm Ben Gay. You may know me from the Closers series, the best-selling, most powerful, most popular series of books ever written on the subject of selling. And that comes from, I've been in the sales game since I was 11 years old. And I don't say that's not selling Christmas cards door to door. I won a citywide in Atlanta, Georgia contest selling Krispy Kreme donuts, beat every kid in the city of Atlanta. And I was hooked. I won a bicycle, and I thought, this is good. My parents and all my relatives were salespeople, so it was sort of natural for me. And I progressed over time. We'll cover more of it, but I progressed up the line, sold more serious things, etc. Owned my own business at 14, youngest buyer in the history of Macy's when I was 18, and have progressed up the line. I was president of several large multi-level marketing companies. They call it network marketing nowadays, so you won't know it's multi-level. And have enjoyed sharing. I got into public speaking because people at the Saturday morning sales meeting would say, "How you doing it?" And scared to death, I got up and told them. And then I got a little better, a little better, a little better. I've given 5,000 paid appearances, probably another 5,000 for free, but 5,000 paid appearances around the world. And I've been at this a long, long time, since Wednesday, September 15th, 1965 at noon, when Zig Ziglar and I started out together in the business as friendly competitors. Napoleon Hill was my personal mentor the last 2.5 years of his life, and I now do for other people what he did for me. Look forward to working with all of you.
Amazing. And Rick.
Yes, Danny. Why did you put this order in so that I have to follow him?
I'm sorry.
Why do I have to follow that? So, yes, my name is Rick Sedler. I have been in the luxury publishing business for over 30 years. And what I realized is not only do I get to know the fashion brands and all of the luxury brands and get tours in all of the wonderful factories that make Ferraris and Lamborghinis and men's suits, but I learn how to market to them. If I didn't, I certainly wouldn't have lasted, because when I got my first management job, salespeople said, Rick, please don't do it. We like you on the floor. You're in the ejection seat. Nobody ever lasts there. And I said, well, I'm going to give it hell. So having worked with a number of millionaires, cold calling them individually to sell their Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Bentleys and Rolls Royces, I estimated maybe 10,000 different millionaires and billionaires. So I got a sense of how to sell to them, what they're like, how to identify them real quickly. You don't have much time when you're dealing with somebody that's high net worth. So it's one thing to talk to them, but I needed to close them. I was on a straight commission job. So at the combination of dealing with small business, large businesses in the luxury business, and being able to talk with high net worth people, meeting at events over the last 30 years, starting my own publication, actually have 4 of them, working as a luxury media buyer. I'm excited to join the group so that I can share some of the things that I've learned, because if you ask my wife, I can't stop talking. And she's tired of the story. So I thought, why not hop on a call like this and share a few? So excited to get started. Can't wait to get the questions so we can help, hopefully, between the 4 of us. By the way, we learn from each other. We can help a lot of people with what we've talked about. So I'm excited.
Amazing. And if you don't know me, I'm Danny Walsh. I've been working online for 20 years or more, building, growing, scaling businesses with all things technology, internet, and now we've got things like AI. We've got some amazing ways to market and position our companies or our businesses to share our messages, to have a big impact with people around the world. And I've got a big bunch of interesting things I could share with you. I don't want to take up too much more time, but as the questions appear, I'm looking forward to helping with marketing, technology, AI. Maybe we have an AI question, who knows? But we are going to get this started. Tony is here all the way from Perth in Australia, early doors, 4 o'clock in the morning. We have Mohammed in the place. Hello, everybody. Looking forward to this. And we've got comments on Facebook. We've got comments on YouTube. People are joining. There will be a replay of this as well. I kind of want to get going and set the scene a little bit, talk about how this works. We've literally got as many questions as we thought we could fit into the hour. We appreciate everybody who has submitted a question. If we don't get to your question, we'll still follow up with you in an email, and we'll do our best to give you some insight, give you some help, give you some assistance. But we have had some similar questions. We've had some really good questions, some challenging questions. So I want to share a question, share it with a member of the panel, and then hopefully each of us can answer to our strengths, and then we'll try and bring this into a little bit of a discussion as well. Follow along in the chat. Feel free to share this, share it with your social media, all the things. But I'm excited to get started. Pepper is here. Can't wait to do that. Sorry, Rick, we covered you up at the bottom there. We'll try and jiggy the screen around a little bit. But I'm excited. You guys ready to get started? Everyone in the chat?
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
The first question coming from Aaron, how can I improve my mindset in any situation? Now, Rex Sikes is possibly the man for the job in this case, but I'm interested to see what everybody else thinks of this as well. But Rex, do you want to give this one a go?
Yeah, I will, but I'm gonna actually make a special request. I want to bookend this. I want to come back to how I can improve my mindset in any situation at the end of our discussion today. And what I'd like to do is to answer to Aaron and to everyone there what is going on and what is important about mindset. I've assembled 4 incredible people, myself, of course, Danny, Rick, and Ben. Why did I assemble them? Because they're experts, authorities in their field. They know what's going on. Any one of these gentlemen could start with a mindset question. And the reason for that is because these guys that you see on the panel, that is what they started with mastering for themselves so that they could accomplish what they want to accomplish. And this is what so many people miss. They think, well, if I figure out my circumstances or I solve my problem, then I'll be okay. Then things will work out. And it's actually the other way around. You work on your mindset first, and then you're able to resolve the problems, find the solutions, and do what you want to do. Attitude is the number one predictor for success in every area of your life. Research has demonstrated this for decades, and it's been known from the time immemorial. You know, the ancient mystics and the philosophies have always talked about the importance of having your heart and your head aligned so that you're congruent with your intentions and what you want to do. The other thing is that, you know, people think in terms of attracting things as opposed to creating things. We create. We are makers. We are, you know, if you believe the Bible, it said, "Let there be light," you know, and created light, created the universe, God, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it. And I say that to respect you, is that it's about the act of creation. And a lot of people think, you know, well, when I have money someday, or if this problem were over, or if she hadn't left me, or he hadn't done this, or whatever, and they're consumed by thinking that is, one, less than glorious, and two, it preoccupies their mind, and it robs you and me and all of us of our energy, our vitality, of our initiative. It puts us into a less than one, you know, kind of set where we're starting with a deficit if our mindset isn't correct. So how do you develop your mindset? Well, again, the method is very clear and it's very simple. It doesn't mean that doesn't require some effort, but it's been obfuscated and it's been secreted away. The component parts are every which way, you know, so it's very difficult for people to find. Because if everyone watching right now and everyone on the planet took control of their mindset and worked purposely to intentionally create good for themselves and other people, this world would be an incredibly different world. We would be operating in a completely different way than how we operate today. But that's because they don't want you to know this stuff. They don't teach it in schools. You have to find it. There's 5,000 different books coming out right now that all say different things, and people don't know what to do. So we're going to reveal some of the things in this hour and at other times. But the point is you can develop the mindset that can see you through any situation. When the front domino is placed correctly, all the other dominoes fall in line. But if that first domino isn't set right, then the rest won't fall. All right, so with that, I'm going to pass for now. We'll come back a little bit to answer Aaron's question, and I'll open it up to Ben or Rick or Danny who'd like to answer more on this or move to another question.
Who do you want, Danny?
I think if you want to throw it to your good self, Ben, and then maybe a comment from Rick as well, and we can move on.
Super. First of all, on a deeper level, the excellent question, and Rex has answered it. There's no point in me repeating it. On a day-to-day level, to me, I have two major points. One, I'm blessed. I'm an optimist by nature. I don't know, pick your parents carefully might be the solution to that. But I'm just a cheerful person under the worst of circumstances. So I'm blessed. If you don't have that, listen to what Rex said, and then understand this is show business. And in working with me, you'll hear me say certain things over and over and over again because I'm a simple person. If there's a simple way to explain something and you ask me again, I'll give you the same answer again. I'm not going to make up a new one to impress you. So on the rare occasions when my mindset isn't quite perfect, when I'm not following all the points that Rex made, I say to myself, it's showtime. And just like an actor in a play, I put on my Ben Gay suit and I become Ben Gay, the positive guy. And whether I really feel that way inside or not is immaterial. I'm trying to help other people and get through the situation. So Mary Kay used to say, she worked for me many, many years ago, briefly, before she started her own deal. Fake it till you make it. I could argue that point in a lot of ways, but in this area that we're talking about, mindset, you either have it or you don't. And if you don't at the moment, pretend like you do.
Such Great insight. Rick, anything you want to add to this?
Well, that's going to be tough to add to that, but mindset, to me, is just everything, and I say that all the time. And I did not have the right mindset starting out. I had a positive mindset, but there's so much more to it than that. A can-do mindset. And so, rather than talking about how it's affected or me specifically, how it affected me is by learning from the people that I was cold calling and finding out their story behind how do they have a private jet for sale or a mansion worth $20 million. And so what I realized was being able to talk to them is they're really not any different than anybody else, except for the fact that they usually use strong words and positive words to describe what they do. You can hear it, you can feel it. And when asked, how did you start your business? How did you get successful? They said, hey, listen, man, I just did it. They knew they were going to make it work. They didn't think maybe, possibly I could do this. They said, I'm going to do it. And most of them started with, I didn't know anything about X, but I just knew I was going to do it. And so I adopted that mindset myself and said, you know what? If there are people around me that are doing it, then why not me? Why can't I do it? And so that's the biggest thing that I would tell anyone is you can't do anything if the mindset is not correct. You have to believe you can do it. Don't ask yourself too many questions about why you can't do it. Just believe you can do it. And one quick story, and I'm looking at the time. By the time we get through the second question, we're running out. My son asked me to film him. Just grab my camera, lift it. What are you going to do? I had a brand new fire pit that you could cook on the top. It was about 4 feet high and 12 inches of flame on top of it. So I'm filming, I'm following him, and he jumps over the flame and the fire pit, which is about a foot lower than his head. And there's no way I would have thought he could have cleared it. And so I said, why the heck did you just do that and make me film it? And he said, Dad, I never attempt anything that I know I can't do.
So true.
He jumped over the fire because he believed he could do it. He was absolutely committed. There's no way about it. Anything else but he's going to do it. And he took that risk. Now, I don't condone that. I don't expect that I ever want to see that again. But I love the mindset.
How old is he, Rick?
He's right now 27.
Whoa.
He was, it was 3 or 4 years ago. So he's probably 23, 24, 25. Big difference between that age and this age. He's cutting out a lot of the stupid stuff. He's getting serious.
I think there's also a thing with mindset, and people will say just do it or take action. It's like, what does that actually mean? And having a purposeful plan, that purpose of like, this is what I actually want to do. I'm very clear and very confident on that. That will aid your ability to focus and get moving. And you can always ask yourself, I'm putting this thing out. Am I confident in this thing? If the answer is yes, then let's go. Let's move on. Tony in the chat as well. Jeffrey's in the chat. Cooper's in the chat, all the way from Zambia in Africa. We've got folks from Australia, the US, and more, all connected right now by the power of the internet. I'm going to bring this one to you, Rick. How do I elevate my status in a room full of millionaires?
Yes. Well, that's a great question. That is something that I have been a part of and been in a position where I needed to think about elevating my status. And first of all, it's one of those things where it can happen immediately, and don't expect to hear how I do it or how I recommend you do it and then go out there and do it, because it's not just what you say, it's how you act. I had a coach once ask everyone who's CEOs in a room to go leave the room and walk in and sit down. And each one of them, he said what he felt about their personality just by seeing them walk, how they carried themselves. Did they look hungry, like they can't wait to find that person to close? Did they look like they were confident? And everything in between. And so it was a very good exercise, because what he's really teaching you is when you walk into a room, you immediately give off your presence, and you'll start to show, your your whole, attitude and your persona, right? Good or bad. And so, you know what they say about first impression. That's what it is when you walk into a room. When you're walking into a room and you want to talk to somebody, a few tips from what's worked for me. You don't want to come from across the room where they can see you walking from across the room so that you're going to talk to them. They'll immediately get triggered into, oh boy, here comes somebody who wants to hit me up, right? When you do want to meet somebody in a room, or when you first enter the room, start to engage with people right away. Move into conversation so you feel more confident. You're talking. If you have a target in the room, which I used to when there was a particular event, when I worked in New York, there were 5 events we used to go to a night, and we would go in, find out who we wanted to talk to, and then leave. You want to loosen up a little bit, and if possible, find somebody that is the sort of the handler, the assistant, somebody else that you could talk to. And many times I was able to get to the person by invitation because they liked me. Maybe they laughed a little bit. We talked a little bit. It was a lot more casual and a lot easier to talk to somebody lower down the line. And they have now a purpose. Hey, Dr. Smith, I'd like you to meet Rick. We were chatting for a little bit and he has something to say about your book. He just read it, wants to talk to you about it. So when something is being introduced, whether you do it or somebody else, make it be something that gets the conversation started. You don't want to do all the talking. They'll shut you down. So you want to start a conversation. And if I said, hey, Rex, I've read your book. I love that chapter where it helped me so much. What is Rex likely to do when I say that? First of all, he's going to smile because he really appreciates the fact that I read his book, right? I'm not trying to sell him anything. He doesn't even know really who I am or where I'm coming from, but he immediately is going to be a lot more gentle and kind towards me because I simply talked to him about something that we could connect with. You wrote it. I read it. I benefited from it. He's going to think this guy's a walking testimonial. So he's going to ask me a question and he's going to start talking to me, which is the goal. Once we start talking together, now we have a conversation. You want a conversation. You do not want to pitch. You do not want to be a fan person. Oh, I can't believe I finally got to meet you, because they will be triggered into you're a fan. And if you talk to a celebrity, they have fans that go all the way to, okay, calm down, to they're scaling the walls because they want to come meet them. So this is a scary thing. So talk on their level, be confident, be relaxed, be a conversationalist. Talk to them like you would anyone else and forget the fact that the most important CEO you've ever met in your life. So I hope that helps.
So good. So good. Rex, anything you want to add to that? Because it's
you know, all of this going back to the mindset question, and this is a matter of state management, is what Ben said. You know, it's showtime, and I change my state, and I become that person, you know, who has to perform, even if I may not feel like it. I'm able to step into that and be that person so that I can assist other people. That's an important piece to learn. I've never been impressed by celebrity. You know, my other half of my life has been in the film business. I grew up around celebrities. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what you drive, who your wife or husband. It doesn't matter to me. Now, if I meet somebody and they happen to have gazillion dollars more than I do, I know that they know that I don't have the kind of money that they may have, you know. But money doesn't impress me, number one, because I know that there are a lot of people with lots of money who are not happy. They're miserable. They can't keep a marriage. They can't keep their children. They can't do anything. So it's a matter of what is important to you. If it's the wealth of an individual, then you may always be somewhat one down or subservient to them because you don't have the money they do. So I'm secure in myself because I've overcome all sorts of things in my life, difficulties, hardships, loss of money, made money, all that kind of stuff. None of that matters. I meet these people on an equal ground. They are a colleague. They are the same as me. They put their pants on one leg at a time. I'm not trying to be boastful. I'm not trying to be egotistical. I'm not trying to go, look, I'm your peer. I'm just walking in going, I'm a person of worth and value. I want to know you. Maybe you want to know me, and here's why. Because I'm not groveling. I'm not sniveling. I'm not coming on to them. I'm not trying to pitch them. If they can't add anything to me, but I can add to them, then we both win.
So good. And I do want to come to Ben because we're talking here about values, relationships, conversations. We're not talking about going into a room to get money.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Add to that for us.
Also, if you've been around enough people, Rex is talking the celebrity aspect primarily. Rick is talking about big money people. After you've been around enough of them, and so you might as well decide now. You don't have to wait till you've been around enough of them. Take my word for it. As someone, Rex, probably just said, they put their pants on one at a time. I have two close friends that are billionaires with a B. I have hundreds of associates that are millionaires. Anybody who lives in California and owns their own home qualifies for that. It's not as big a deal as it used to be, but whatever figure impresses you, they're regular human beings. They're no different. They're probably with their own, some of them with their own insecurities, afraid of meeting you or of meeting a new person. So one, make them comfortable. Two, calm down. They ain't no big deal, as we say in the South. And if they're such a big deal that you can feel it, I'm not talking about power of personality, but if they're, I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm a this and I'm a that, go find somebody else to talk to.
Yeah.
There are plenty of normal human beings who happen to be wealthy, who would love to associate with you. Calm down, understand you are their equal. In many areas, you are their superior. And I sort of have an attitude of, I really appreciate meeting you and what we can do for each other and so on. But frankly, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, you're lucky to meet me.
Yeah.
I have some unusual, I was a friend is the wrong word, but I visited in his cell for a total of 9 hours with Charlie Manson. I was attitude coach when I was teaching at San Quentin. I was attitude coach for the astronauts of Apollo 15, 16, and 17. I've shaken the hand, shook the hand, whatever. Somebody can email me the proper grammar of that, of all 12 people who walked on the moon. I know people who've done things that are just almost unbelievable. That's one of them, for instance. So it's sort of hard to impress me. If you want to play the impression game, I can play that with you a little bit so we settle down and understand that we are, in fact, equals. But don't go into, the question was, how do I elevate my status in a room full of millionaires? You don't have to elevate it. Just be you. Don't be afraid. And understand they're lucky to meet you.
So good.
The attitude, the mindset.
Yep. And let us know in the comments if that's helped. I know Tony's in the chat who actually asked the question as well. And I know there's others. There are other questions dropping in the chat. We will make notes. I think we possibly need longer than an hour. We'll see how that goes. But I do want to move on. This one's a long question, but you can kind of pick this up pretty quick, right? So I'm going to throw this to Ben to start us off with this. But when your expertise offers the ability to solve a very broad array of problems and you prefer to be a generalist, what is the best advice you can offer of how to identify and locate ideal prospects in a narrow niche, when the prevailing wisdom seems to niche down to a single avatar? This is from Robert. So it's about the difference, I guess, between being a generalist and niching down. And if you are one or the other, how can you adapt? That's how I read that one. Ben, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think Robert thought I would get this question because I'm a generalist. I almost have to be. I'm a high school graduate, barely. In college, I was elected president of my freshman class, but I was never sworn in because the swearing in was 3 weeks after the election. And by then I dropped out. I decided I want to go do something else, like make money. And so I'm a generalist by nature. I have no choice. Dr. Hill one day, Dr. Napoleon Hill, calmed me on a subject. I remember right where I was standing outside my office in sort of the lobby area, and I was pontificating on something that Dr. Hill and I knew I didn't know anything about. So, but I was in such a position, no one would ever say, "You're full of BS." They were listening. So Dr. Hill took me aside. We went in my office and he said, "Ben, you and I together don't know the answers or the details of 99.9999999% of the questions and material available. So you don't have to pretend that you do. Say that you don't, but you'll find out. Or if it's important, you'll put them in contact with somebody." So as a generalist, I have an amazing thing over on my other desk. It's called a Rolodex, old-fashioned Rolodex. And if I don't know the answer to your question, I'll find someone within a phone call or two that does. I'll probably know who to call right away. If not, I'll be close enough so they know. I can hire all of the other talents that I need. I am taking on more personal mentoring clients now as a result of a casual comment a client made. He said, "Do you have any virtual assistants?" And I said, "No, for various reasons, I'm not really excited about that idea, mainly because I've talked to so many virtual assistants who all seem to be in the Philippines and don't know anything about the person they're representing. And how about a personal assistant?" I said, "Well, sort of everybody's a personal assistant." He said, "Well, let me explain it to you this way. If you don't have a personal assistant or a virtual assistant, you are your personal assistant or virtual assistant." So what I decided to do, and this is in the last couple of weeks, I looked at what I did all day long, and I'm very good at this, and I figured out what I could delegate even more. I don't do much now, but talk to people, but delegate even more to open up that time in my schedule, and it's enabled me do more of this type of work, which I love. I just love talking about helping people be more successful and self-confident, and teaching them public speaking, and take some of the things I can with a younger person. I can cut 30, 40 years off their learning curve just because I've lived this long and been through those experiences. So generalist I am. You hit it right on the mark, and I'm proud of it. It enables me to do many more things. If all I was a doctor that specialized in cancer of the heart, it would narrow my scope down dramatically. Now, it might be more impressive to some people, but if I can, when somebody says, "Can we have a conversation?" I don't go, "Oh my God, what are they going to talk about?" I don't care. I can either listen and learn or ask questions or refer them to somebody. I'm a generalist. If there was anyone who lived at 30,000 feet above the problem, it's me. And that frees you up I'm not caught up in the minutiae and the details. That frees me up to see how you cut the knot. Or undo the knot. I can see. Sometimes people ask me a question. I'm thinking, God, they must not have given any thought. That's so simple. Well, it's so simple because I'm not all knotted up in the details.
Very good. Rex, I know you made a comment then. Is there anything we could even say to follow that as an amazing answer?
Well, I think that, one of the things that people have to do is understand that if you're serving other people, then the question is who are you serving and what are their needs? What are their issues? And what are they trying to accomplish? And if you're looking at it from authentically caring about them, then you're going to want to ask questions and find out how you can best serve them. And in some cases, that may be to narrow it down and niche it down and get to very, specifics. And in other cases, it may be to be, more of a generalist in terms of the approach. One of the things I think that people need to understand is what is the cost of not learning or not doing something? When we talked about mindset or any of these things, if let's say there's a person who says, I've had a problem ever since I was a kid. I don't like to meet people. They're now 40 years old. For 40 years, they haven't liked to meet people. How much time and energy and effort have you spent thinking, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't know that. I don't like it. I don't do this. Wow, if it could only be different. They get caught up in these negative loops and stay there. And it costs them money. It costs them time. It costs them leisure. It costs them relationships. It costs them everything, spiritually, everything. So the best thing to do is to understand that when you have the opportunity to learn, to develop, to grow, to change, to make a difference for yourself and or for others, take it, do it, And while that may sound like general information, there are specific methods, principles, and practices that you can learn to do on a daily basis, just like you eat every day, or you might brush your teeth every day, you might shower once a month, who knows, I don't know. But you develop these habits. And one of the habits that you want to do is learning how to not only manage your own mindset, approach the people that we've been talking about, but also how is it that you approach other people when it comes to serving them and making a connection with them and finding out what their needs are. And these things are practicable, or they're practical, and you can practice them and you can master them. That's what Ben and Rick and Danny have done, what we have done. And that's why we're here answering these questions for you. And now I pass.
Thank you. Rick, anything quick you want to add to that as we move?
Sure, if that's possible.
Is it?
I'm going to apply that to a specific example. In print media, we were forced to know digital media, and everything around us was changing in that direction. So we hired a company that was going to supply us with not only the production aspect of it, but all of the training on how to sell digital media to mostly people that have been legacy print salespeople. So one of the things that he said, and I'll never forget, and I think the salespeople got a lot of value out of it, is he said, don't think that you have to drill down and become an expert and know everything. And there's a certain fear salespeople have about, do I know enough to talk to this person in this category? And the answer is no, you do not have to know everything. And if you were to spend 2.5 days to learn everything, you would quickly realize that they're not going to ask you all the questions that you were prepared for, that you felt you needed to learn. And the second thing is, don't expect that they're always the expert. They may appreciate where you're coming from. They may appreciate what your spin on digital marketing is. And you always have, as Ben said, you always have the ability to say, I'm not an expert in all of the details of that campaign, but I do know we find a lot of success with people like you. That's why I wanted to talk with you about it. We can always have our digital marketing person join us on a call if there's anything that I can't help you with. So in short, the advice is you don't have to drill down as much as you think you need to do. You don't have to niche down. And oftentimes when you put the time in, you won't use 90% of it.
So good. True. Some great answers. And I said I would answer a question or two throughout this in the best of my ability. And if it's all right with you gents, I'm going to take this, but I'm trying to set the pace a little bit. I want to answer this real quick. Right. So this is if you were just starting out today, you had no money, no email list, but you had some knowledge and you had an internet connection. I guess you've got like a cell phone or a laptop or something to take advantage of that connection, right? What could you do to make some money and make some money every day and make some money every week? You want to make money, you've got to make an offer, right? And the big thing is people they'll build a website or they'll build a funnel or they'll build some kind of thing online, but they've not made an offer. And you can't make an offer, in my opinion, without having some means of conversation with another human being, because the pretty web page just might not sell it for you, and you might not have enough money to do that. You can't buy a domain, you can't do all of the things. You need a designer or whatever. You need a subscription. There's always something that you need when it comes to building things. But you can make an offer with Facebook Messenger for free. You can make an offer on a social media platform. You can send an email. And making the offer, if you've literally no money, is, in my opinion, the best place to start with making some money. Because if you've got the knowledge, you've got something that you can offer. That could be consultancy. That could just be helping one company to fix one problem that your knowledge solves. make the offer before you worry about making stuff. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Absolutely.
Anybody want to add to that, or shall we move at a pace? Rex, you're muted.
I'll add to that. The question is what are you willing to do versus what are you not willing to do? You know, a lot of people say, well, I want to make money. I got to make it online. And they set up all these conditions and then go, I don't know how to do it. I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have the, to do it. But there are people who sell books, for example, out of the trunk of their car. There are people walking up and down the Strand, or in Venice selling their CDs that they produced, single one by one, they're going on, they might be on skates. I've never used it, but Facebook Marketplace, maybe you have things in your home that you want to sell. If you need money right away, as Danny said, you have to be able to make an offer. And the oldest profession in the world is sales. I mean, I know other people think it might be something else, but there's some change made in that business. So the point being is, you always have to be able to make an offer. You always have to be, willing. So if you're willing to get out and sell out of the trunk of your car, or carry a book with you, or as Danny said, consult, you can make money and you can start making money right away. But if you're expecting somebody to find you, or to find your website, or to go to your website and buy something because you have a picture of it, it's probably not going to happen. Not in today's world. Not as much as we would like it to, maybe. But so, thank you.
Can I jump in there? Since I've never started a business with any money, I can relate to it. When Jimmy Rucker, the greatest salesman I ever personally worked with, and I went to the opportunity meeting, I thought we were being hired for something to join, as it turned out, to join Holiday Magic. It was at 1447 West Peachtree Street. We drove into the underground garage, not noticing there was a parking fee of $3 if you didn't do business with a bank and get it validated, which by coincidence was exactly $3 more than either one of us had together. So we went up to the meeting, agreed to put up $91.41. But I told Bill Dempsey we'd have to get back to him before the day was over, because we had to go out to my father's business, pick up Rucker's check, which after taxes was about $91.41. This is 1965, and cash it. So I knew how to overcome that challenge. Rucker wasn't married, I was, so I said, you don't need the money. So we agreed to put up his paycheck. In the meantime, we had to get in the car and leave. And as we came around the corner, there was a guy standing in a booth with his hand out to get the $3 that I didn't know we needed. So Rucker and I said, look to the right. We both looked to the right like we didn't see him, and drove past him up the ramp and into West Peachtree Street. So that was my entrance into serious business, running a $3 parking ticket to get Rucker's check to cover the commitment I just made. Made millions of dollars, traveled the world, everything went well. Bill Patrick and I, Holiday Magic, he was the owner, had a falling out. I got canned. Jim Rohn used to say, if your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep will become your downfall. Well, I kept living in the big house with the Cadillacs and the Lincolns and the Corvettes and everything, but no money was coming in. And after a while, it lasted for a few years, but after a while, they nailed a note on the door that they were foreclosing on the house. I think that was a week or so after I saw one of my cars go down the driveway on the back of a tow truck. And but in the meantime, I had come up with this idea of starting an 800 toll-free answering and order-taking service. It was called the National Communication Center. That was how, when you dial an 800 number to buy something, that's where it started, with me in my head. But I had no money. I had no cars. I had no house. So we started the National Communication Center with zero money, zero. Soon after we moved to this area, my wife at the time, not the wonderful Gigi, my wife who's since passed away, I got a call from a guy at a pizza store Elmo Eck was his name, Elmo's Pizza. And he said, Mr. Gay, I've got a little problem here. A check that your wife wrote us bounced. It was $12. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Next time I'm down there, we'll cover it. And so. And then I said to her, Marsha, why the hell did you write a check to Elmo Eck, whoever he is, for $12? She said, well, it was just $12. I said, we don't have any money. None. Zero. You can't write a check for $1. We are broke. We're eating the food we brought with us from Marin County in the car, the borrowed car we used to get out of town. So, cute story. Crossed the Carquinez Bridge to go from Marin County to up where we are now near Lake Tahoe. I'd never crossed the Carquinez Bridge. I didn't know there was a Carquinez Bridge. But we left Marin County with 50 cents in my pocket. Hit the Carquinez Bridge. They wanted 45 cents of it. So I literally drove into this town with a nickel in my pocket in 1976. I was sort of back to running the gate in the parking lot back in Atlanta. So I knew how to be broke. I'd done that. And in every case, it was one-on-one. I had done some sales training for money from outside the companies I was running. So I quickly made it known I was in town. I skipped over the part about being broke. And I did some sales training. Then I had some books, literally, you mentioned it a moment ago, in the trunk of the car. I sold a few books to some real estate companies, and we started digging and ducking and weaving and not answering what looked like a collection call and so on. And rather quickly, we built the National Communications Center, 1,500 clients, millions of dollars in volume, 86,000 incoming calls on an average day. And it was all from my head and deciding we were going to do it. It was my I am running this. I am doing this. And I don't mean it wasn't scary at the time. It was. And it was humiliating on a few occasions, like when my American Express card, I don't even know why I was still carrying it around, was turned down in a restaurant in front of a client. So I had to get up and go back. And then I came out and said, I don't know how that happened, but it was some screw up. Screw up was they'd shut down my American Express card. It was no screw up. I got on the phone and begged some lady, begged her. I said, just get me through this lunch, and I promise I will come back and I'll be a good client. So when people say, how would you do it if you didn't have any money and no contacts and so on? I've been there, and I didn't have the internet and a cell phone and all as backup. I had my mouth and my hands and feet, and that was it. I've said many times, if I'd had, starting out with Holiday Magic in 1965, if I had a cell phone and the internet and all the tools we now have today, we're sitting here talking on 2 continents, and people on 5 continents, I think I heard, are listening to us. If I had all those things today, I wouldn't be Ben Gay, executive consultant. I would be Ben Gay, benevolent dictator of Earth. So, I almost don't want to hear your problems. If I don't have any money, I don't have anything. Well, welcome to the club.
Right.
None of it, unless you inherited it. Most of us didn't have any money when we started. Dig in, humble yourself if necessary, and start picking up the nickels. There was a period in my life when I was walking down the street and there was a dime on the sidewalk. I'd pick it up. Today I worry about germs and so on, but there was a time when I would pick it up. I had a use for that dime. So I may have overcomplicated overcomplicated the situation, but it's really simple. Go to work. Real quick, another quick thing with Dr. Hill. He used to laugh about everyone's reading Think and Grow Rich, looking for the deep meaning. He said, Ben, I mentioned it, and he had the number in his head. I forget, it was 27 times or something. He said, I mentioned it 27 times. He said, people think it became a book on deep philosophy. It was a sales training book. That's what I wrote it for salespeople. Most people have no clue of that. And he said the secret is mentioned, 27 times in it. Take action. That's the deep meaning of Think and Grow Rich. Take action. So he was in a meeting one day, and I had not made a decision that I probably should have. And when everybody else left the room, which was one of his rules, he never criticized me in front of other people. He said, Ben, you're dithering. Take action. And I hear that in my head probably 5 times a day. And he said it to me 55 years ago. Back to you, Danny, or whomever.
Take action. Rick Sedler on that point.
Well, that's first of all, I love, I could listen to Ben all day and not have to talk, but I do have a mission here. But I too had several times without money, and back to the attitude master. It's how you approach it. What's your mindset to get through it? I got a call from the bank once, and they said, similar to Ben, your wife, I started writing checks, and I'm thinking, well, it's got to be $50 in there, right? So the bank.
I still have checks. I couldn't be out of money.
Right. So the bank called and said, I'm calling you because the check bounced. I said, why? He said, insufficient funds. I said, well, when's the bank going to get enough money to cash it? So, you got to make the most of it, because if you crumble in those situations, forget about it. I had a friend of my son's over, and we've got a nice finished basement, a cigar room, a wine cellar. Fortunately, we were in a position to be able to do that. And a friend came over, son's friend. He said, Mr. Sedler, I want what you got. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. Are you willing to do what I did to get what I got? And he thought for a minute. I said, it's not about finding the magic route. You got to have the attitude to do whatever it takes. And if we had another couple hours, you'd hear a lot more stories from me, from Ben Gay, I'm sure from everyone, about what we went through to get to the point where we're at talking to you right now. And just for fun, because I like this, I love selling, I started to take all the stuff I didn't want in my house and sell it on Marketplace. And I got it all on Venmo. And then I transferred the Venmo, because it's free money I created. I didn't do anything but put it on Marketplace, which cost nothing, and find people to give me cash. And I dumped it into Coinbase, and I bought a bunch of coins, not coins, but fractional coins, and it doubled. So whether it's Marketplace, whatever it is, I think any one of us would be able to say, strip me of all my cash, and I will make money faster, especially, as Ben said, with the technology today, 100 times faster than I did when I first started to get some momentum and make money. Am I right? That's all I have to add. I could talk about this for a long time, but we got a half an hour on this question, I think.
With that, I think just listening to the stories and listening to the wealth of experience that's clearly, oozing out of this presentation. There's people who are watching this right now. Pepper said, take the transcript of this conversation and turn it into a book. It's just the one little thing that could change. Hey, we talked about mindset, starting from nothing, walking into rooms with a certain perception. I want to bring up one more question. We've got a few minutes left. We are going to stop at the top of the hour, but I think, let us know in the comments, should we come back? Should we do this again?
Yes.
Yes, well, there's a comment. I think we need to, right? And there's many unanswered questions. Let's do a bit of quick fire, right? So this one's all about how do we perceive ourselves and best interests and outcomes and setting goals and doing what we actually desire without fear and worry, right? So I'm just going to take the question off the screen. Fear and worry stops us taking action. That's what I'm reading there. Like a sentence from each of us. How do we get over the fear and worry? Rex Sikes.
Well, I think, again, you have to go back and you have to look at the cost. What is the cost of your fear and worry? What is it depriving you of? It's depriving you of the confidence to go through and live your life the way you want, the relationships, the money that you could make, feeling spiritually connected to the world, what is it costing you? And then make a decision that, you know what, I am not going to let that prevent me. Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're correct. But he also said, I never let what I cannot do prevent me from doing what I can. And that's one of my favorite quotes, because too many people stop because they're afraid. What is being afraid of? What stops most people? A thought. A thought, not the actual event. Nobody's tying you down. No one's holding you back. They go, I can't do that. I won't do that. I'm not going to, that person won't like me. It's all the thinking that's going on inside the head, which are just mental packets of energy that are preventing you from doing what it is that you want. So you have to learn how to control what's between your ears. Napoleon Hill, his famous quote is, if the mind can conceive it, and you can bring yourself to believe it, then you can achieve it. Well, the second part of that is the most important part. If you can conceive of the reality in order to live in the reality, he says you have to be able to bring yourself to believe that it's possible for you to do it, that you will do that, take action, as Ben said, and then you can achieve it. But short of that, the question is how long will you let the fear or the worry prevent you from being who you could be, who you truly are, your authentic self, and have all the things that you want in life? Each one of us here has been broke. I had 2 nickels to my name in 1974, and I refused to spend them because I didn't want to be completely broke. So I walked around with 2 nickels in my pocket, and whenever I got $2 an hour working at a gas station for 3 hours one time before I got fired because they found out I knew nothing about cars, So the point is that if you let a thought stop you, it will stop you. And the reason why we're assembled here is to be able to help you, to talk you into understanding the power that you have. And of course, the blind spots that you can't see. Because alone, you might be a lot of potential. But together, we can be unstoppable. And that's why we're here to talk to you. And I now pass to the next person who wants to answer this.
We're coming up to the top of the hour. Martin's in the chat, Tony, Jack, Pepper. Everyone wants us to do this again. We need to figure that out. We need to put this on. Just open this up to Ben real quick in the minutes that we've got remaining, because there's not a chance we're going to get through 40 questions in this hour.
Mine will be 5 seconds. John Wayne, in a conversation, talked about overcoming fear, and he said, you don't overcome fear. Saddle up anyway. That reminds me of my first wife, Rex. Is that your dog or?
No, I don't know where that came from. It didn't sound while you're talking, man.
I thought, oh my God, she's back. John Wayne said, we're all afraid. Saddle up anyway.
Very, very true. Rick Sedler, to wrap this up.
Well, I had a negotiation, went to New York City, sat down. The person that wanted to talk with us about buying a big campaign in this luxury watch brand sat at his desk, brought us down to this tunnel. The tunnel was scary enough, but when we got to the desk, he had a 16 inch, it's always bigger when you tell the stories, knife. And he told us, gentlemen, sit down, and he kept slapping it against his palm of his hand as he was negotiating. Now, he didn't say much. He just kept slapping it on his hand. And the sales guy next to me, he kicked me on the other side of the desk as if to say, let's get out of here. He's a guy. We literally thought the guy might kill us for the money, And so at the end, we negotiated, and he didn't say much. He was petrified. And he said, how come you weren't petrified? How come you weren't scared? What did you go through in order to act the way you did? And I said, well, you never met my dad. This guy, when somebody threw a tin can, which he hated, litter, on the side of the road, he'd hop in his car, drive down, run him off the road and grab him by the throat and threaten him. The whole time I was afraid of him. I said, I get through, as a kid, going through what my dad taught me, but what the way he was, nothing frightens me. And so the thing is, you got to get to that point where you realize there is a weakness. It's that thought that frightens you, and you need to work it out of your system because it affects everything else you do.
True.
So true. So true. We are approaching the end of this session, and it's been an amazing session, and so much we've covered in such a short time. Now we need to address the question of how do we cover all of it. So we need to return, we need to come back, and I think there's something very special that we've got here. And I know there's the will, there's the desire, there's the, we want to do this, we want to change as many lives, have this impact as much as possible. There's more questions to be answered, and if it's all right with you, gents, we'll get together and we'll figure out a time. Maybe we can come back next week, or maybe we can come back in less time. I don't know. We'll figure that out, and we'll post and we'll do all the things. Leave us your feedback in the comments. We also have opportunities to talk to us more online, and we'll drop some links and we'll share some stuff about what that will look like, and how you can ask questions behind closed doors for your business and more. But I don't want to get into that right now. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's joined us in the chat. So wherever you are, on Facebook, live on the screen. If we've made any mess ups with the time, that's like my fault. I'm really sorry. But there will be a replay available. We're going to chop this up into little segments as well, and we're going to get together and figure out what's the best way to do more of this, if this is what people want. So let us know what you want in the chat as we just go around the room. We close this out. Closing remarks. Rex, Ben, Rick, start with you, Rex. It's been good, right?
All good. And I think that you're beginning to see how the whole mindset thing wraps itself back around. We've been conditioned to be fearful and worried and impotent and not do the things that we need to or want to do in our life. And when you think you can't, you can't. If you think you can, you can. All that is required for you to be able to do what you'd like to be able to do is to do a conditioning process the same way if you wanted to sculpt your body as an athlete, you would have to condition yourself a little bit each day, eat the right food, sleep the right amount, do the right amount of exercise in order to develop that body. It's the same thing with your mindset. You can condition yourself to be successful, happy, resilient in all circumstances, and not have the wind knocked out of you every time something goes wrong. And that's why we're here. And so take that time. And the other thing is to really think about working with someone who can help you see what you can't yet see, because that's also important. But and hold hands and walk the path together, because that's how we become unstoppable.
Benga.
Wednesday, September 15th, 1965, I joined Holiday Magic Cosmetics, went on to become the largest multi-level company and the direct sales company on earth. And at 25, I was president of it. Here's how come I was. On that fateful day, with Bill Dempsey, my sponsor, he gave me this record, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. This is literally the record. In fact, it's dropping out of the bottom because this album has been following me around for all those years.
That's amazing. I
don't have a record player to play it on anymore, but I listen to the message on other audio devices. I've been through cassettes, 8 tracks, started with a record, etc. And he gave me This Isn't It. The original one was stolen by somebody who wanted to be successful. But he also gave me a copy of Think and Grow Rich. And he said, you're young, you're inexperienced. Go home and listen to this record. Start reading this book. I'll be asking you questions. And it literally began turning my life around, which led me years later to start the modern human potential movement with Leadership Dynamics and Mind Dynamics Institute, both of those which preceded EST and LifeSpring and all of those. I said all that to say this is your Wednesday, September 15th, 1965, if you choose to make it so. You've got 4 people here. I'll brag a little bit about myself. We know our stuff. We've been through it. And I think I speak for everybody here. I'll answer any question you have the nerve to ask. The good news, the bad news, the ups, the downs, the near misses, and what I learned from them, which is really the key, what I learned from them. I learned more losing millions of dollars than I did making millions of dollars. And I'll share that with you too, and maybe spare you that particular experience. So come join us, and I give you my personal word, it will be worth way more than the time, energy, and money you might invest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Rick Sedler.
Well, I was thinking about this, Danny, and how it would go and what my thoughts were going into it. And I didn't have any thoughts other than, boy, it's gonna be great. After all, we're giving, right? And so the three things for me were, and I say I, but it's really we. Did we have a good time? Now, the thing about Ben, I can tell already, is that he would pay to get back on this thing because he loves what he's doing so much, right?
True.
But good for him. And fortunately for him, people would love to pay him for what he knows. The other thing is that we learned in this room about not only just about one another, but things that we get to share from other people who have gone down a similar journey or a different journey. We learned as much as we think we know. We learned. And you have to remember that being a New England sports fan, Tom Brady has a coach.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is the GOAT. And I know we all think that, but I think pretty much the country now believes, probably, maybe the world, probably true. I'll probably agree with you. Now I don't have to watch him beat my team. He's the GOAT. So billionaires have coaches, and they pay a lot more for the coaches, but billionaires have coaches because they have identified that although they have a particular area that they are great at, they are not great at everything. So I value the time here. Hopefully I've contributed, but I've certainly learned a lot, and I love it. So we, in loving what we're doing, are sharing it with others, and we are also, each of us, coaches that can help other people. And I wanted to make that point, right? Here's something that you liked. And the third thing that I don't know yet, but I can tell by some of the comments about, yes, please do it again, is that we all, and I think I speak for all of us, we get joy knowing that other people really enjoy what we're doing. That's it. I mean, that's the last and final thing. We want everyone to say, boy, I love it. Please do it again, right? That's the other side of we love doing it. We want everyone else to love doing it. So with that, really appreciate it. Hope others listening did. And I'm glad to be part of the group. And a thumbs up for me to do it again.
Yep, let's go. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and share with the audience. I've learned so much myself listening to this. It's great to be able to contribute, in this room. Rex Sikes, Ben Gay, Rick Sedler, being in the room, being in that proximity is like one of the most important things. And look around in the chat. There's some amazing people doing amazing things, helping people, making an impact. It's never necessarily about the money. It's about people, and being able to work together to be able to deliver this, like you said, Ben, earlier, across every continent. There's people all over the place watching this right now. We will do this again. We will do more of this. In the meantime, if you just can't wait and you just want to find out how you could just be in this room going forward, you can, like, we've all got various different ways of doing that, but you can book a call. You can talk to us. You can reach out on social media and make a connection. We'll send out an email with the next date with links and all the things, so you're able to connect, but connect with each other as well. We will have a quick chat when we finish up here in a second, and we will plot out the course for the next session. So we'll make sure we email you. And I think, Rex, you've got one thing to add.
No, I was going to ask, do we have an email that they can email it for this very purpose? Do they have questions or want to have a conversation?
What I thought, Rex, is if we just shared your link to your calendar, then people could book in your calendar and pick a time to have a quick conversation with one of us or one of the team. And if that's something that people wanted, I could share that real quick. But this is your calendar, right? So this is precious time. So if you'd like to see the link to the calendar for the team and you want to ask something specific or talk about how you could do something with us as a group, Does anybody want that? Should we share it, or should we just pack up and go? Let us know in the comments. Everyone's keen for us to do this again. Thanks. Worth being up at 4 a.m. Relationships. Everyone's building these. There's some football talk that I don't understand. Tony said drop it. We do have a link, and you'll see this wealthdynamicsmastery.com doing weird and wonderful things. More of this. We'll put the replay on and send out an email and the rest of it. But if you take a screenshot or a photograph of this right now, you can book into the calendar. We will get on a quick session with you. You can ask your question, and you can talk about what's possible just by being in the room. Everybody's busy. Everyone's got things going on and commitments, but we can make time for those who do book in. It's not for everybody, and we will be back with the free sessions and more as we go forward. But there is a link on the screen. You can book that. It's a short call. Ask your question, and if we can help you find a solution that works for all of us, then we can do that. So as people, grab a screenshot. We're not going to keep it up forever. We've got to go. If that works, and then we'll figure out a better way to do more of this and bring more of this to you as we move. Does that sound fair? I'm happy with that.
Great.
And it's Rex's calendar, so Ben, Rick, we don't have to worry about it. Rex will be handling all the calls as we move forward. Everyone's excited for that. So let us know whether you do or you don't. We will be back very, very soon. You'll see more of us. We're going to share the replay. We're super excited. But from, I guess, each of us here right now, it's been a pleasure. Let's go.
Loved it.
Bye-bye.